I am so excited to be here today with Lizmarie, who has been a hotel florist for 6 years. She focused on specializing in hotels because that is where there was a strong demand for high quality service and that there were dependable clients that, you know what, always paid really well. In her first 3 months, she landed a $15,000 holiday account. In her first 6 months, she landed a $96,000 account. Guys, I am not bluffing when I say that you can create serious, consistent income with these corporate and hospitality accounts. And Lizmarie is totally going to be spilling the tea on her journey and what has really aided in her success with you today. Now, part of selling who she is, what she does, and her success in the sector of the florist market is really tied to the exclusivity as a hotel florist and the level of service she strives to deliver. Lizmarie, or should I say the official in-house florist of the Four Seasons. Do you want to finish it?
Yeah.
Four Seasons.
Surfside.
Thank you, Surfside.
Yeah.
That is just
Yeah.
so exciting. That is a huge, I know, like win in your world. And I just want to celebrate you for a moment because that's
Thank you
incredible.
so much. I mean,
So
it's been great.
Lizmarie, like, thank you for being on the show today. Now, we became Insta friends a few years ago because I think we were both like, hey, this person does hotel flowers too. I'm not weird. Tell me a little bit about your journey up until today.
Well, you never think you're going to end up where you are. And so I think that's one of the greatest things about life and its journey and, the ride it takes you on. So I'm young. I mean, so it's, to be honest, number one, it's never too early. It's never too late to start your dream. Don't think I'm 18, I'm 20. It doesn't matter what age you start. And it doesn't matter how old you are, because I have team members that work for me that are, in their 40s with dreams. And I'm telling them, this is not your pit stop. This is not where it ends. So you move on from here. I started 23, 24, working for straight out of college, worked for a flower company in New York, actually in sales. So my background was in sales. Never did I think I'd end up as a floral designer. But I will totally be honest with you. I loved cooking, baking, flowers wasn't my thing. And I mean, I just felt after working for that company, I felt this is something that you should be doing on your own. And I had resources, I had connections, and I kept being told, you have business cards, you have people's contacts. Why don't you do this for yourself? But in that time when I was in sales, I was meeting with sort of everyone. I was selling a subscription service of a weekly design, delivery, etc. I was meeting with retail shops. I was meeting with, you name it, Dolce and Gabbana, high-end retail, hotels, basically anywhere I can get my foot in the doors, who I was meeting with. 7 to 10 proposals a week and having to do immediate turnaround, subcontracting florists to do the work for you. But again, I never did it myself. I had only the sales experience. As I mentioned, one thing I kept realizing, which it sort of became kind of annoying to me, was the same client that I would go to every single time you go to a hotel. They're always going to tell you the same thing. They want to get what they're paying for because they feel like, I'm paying $1 million. Why am I getting daisies, carnations, something I can grab at Publix or, Kroger's or something at Trader Joe's that I can do myself. When I call my florist, they're not responding. Sometimes they're not answering their phone call right away. They're not getting an email through. When I tell them a flower is dying, they're not coming same day, or at least telling me an immediate time that they're going to come and get it fixed. The water's dirty. So it's a lot of, you start realizing these people have the money to spend. It's not coming out of their own paycheck. They have the money to spend. They have the guests who are paying to have that experience in their hotel. I mean, you have name brands, Ritz-Carlton, you have the Hilton, you have, Four Seasons. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I go on a vacation and I'm paying $200, $300, $400 a night to stay somewhere, you certainly don't want to just walk into a hotel and see something that's just furniture and bare.
No, you want something more luxurious, something you don't even have at home. Believe me, I just spent the most I've ever spent in my life in a hotel room, $750 a night. And I was like, who are you? And I was like, I'm becoming the future me. But I tell you what, I had really high expectations for those $750 per night.
Yeah. I mean, I tell people, I mean, it's a joke, but I'd say, I mean, for the amount of money I'm spending, I expect to see Beyonce live, you know, J-Lo walking up in here covered in glitter, you know? I mean, obviously I'm not going to get that for $450 a night, but you get the idea.
I get the gist. You're not going to get dead flowers.
Exactly. And so I started realizing all of these executives that's their whole thing. And then I even went on a walkthrough one time where the food and beverage director said to me, do you do weddings on weekends, and do you do events and stuff like that on the side? And I told him, no, I don't. The reason they ask you these kind of questions is because they want to know where your focus is. Are you totally going to be focusing on me, or am I just part of your portfolio? You know? Don't get me wrong. To them, I've even had people tell me, I'm giving you my brand. What are you going to do with my name on your client list? So they're exchanging they're in essence, to them, they see that they're giving you something huge, you know, to put something like that on their portfolio. They're like, what are you going to do for me?
Well, and you also have to realize, especially as a florist, and I talk about this all the time, like you're building brand equity in your business. And it's actually part of the reason I diversified and went into corporate was I was tired of explaining myself when I came into a room. I was tired of getting the question of, can I see your portfolio? Like it was annoying to me. So I made it my mission to work with some of the biggest brands. So that way, when someone asks, I'd be like, nobody's going to ask to see your portfolio if you are the Texas State florist for Tiffany & Co. Or if you take care of Chanel or Four Seasons. They're going to be like, oh, okay, great. This girl's already vetted. We don't even have to worry about her. And so you do have to remember that these brands, when they're hiring you, they know that they're putting brand equity in your business, and they just want to make sure that you're going to treat them as if they were your only client.
And it's also important, which I know it's what you tell all of your subscribers, which if they haven't subscribed already, trust me, I was looking at your stories today and I said to myself, you know what? I've been doing this for 6 years, but I think I'm about to subscribe because I need more knowledge here. Oh my gosh, I just lost my mind, but
fine, we can cut it. It's not a big deal. I like the last part. I did not pay you to say that.
No, but it's true in honesty. So, where's my train of thought?
So I finished off saying that, these brands know that they're adding brand equity into your business, and they expect to be treated as if they were your only customer. Like that client servicing aspect is so key. You always want to under promise and over deliver, especially as a hotel florist. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it's true. And even on top of that, before they even meet with you, they're looking at your Instagram, they're looking at your website. You can send an email, they're clicking on the link. So it's important, which is what you're telling your subscribers. It's important to have your branding on point, because they're going to look at your work before they even meet with you. They're going to look at your client list before they even meet with you. They're going to get referrals from other hotels in the area before they even meet with you. And one thing that I've had to get accustomed to, because before it started as a wave. Before I had to go in and always pitch who I was, you know. Obviously then you build your brand base, you start having a good book of clients, and then a few people already trust in you, they know who you are. Okay, I'm meeting with someone who specializes in hotels. And then they're not really interested in a spiel. They kind of just want to show you the space, get it on in your proposal, right?
Yeah.
But I made it important to not be that kind of florist. I don't want to just be someone you're going to get a proposal from anymore. And I'm going to make sure that every single time I meet with anyone new, I'm going to give you that spiel of who I am and what I do and what I'm going to deliver to you. Because when they treat me that way, that they're just kind of walking me through, they're giving me the same walkthrough they're giving everyone else. And I'm not taking my time and giving you my 5 minutes as to why I'm going to stand out for you. You're not leaving that meeting we just had with an impression. So I make it a point to take, even if it's at the end of the meeting and I've asked all my questions and you've given me all the inventory, etc., I take 2-3 minutes really quick and I say, hey, look, I'm so glad you met with us. I just want to tell you a little bit about us, what we do, what we've been doing, why we do it, and what we're going to bring to your property. Um, and I find that in doing that, I've gotten light bulbs that turn off in that 3 minutes. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you do that. Yeah. And then you start telling them, we want to make this space Instagrammable for you, because everything now social media based, everything's photography. You have all these vloggers, bloggers, everything's
Yep.
about pictures. And that's how people marketing, that's how people are getting their
It's
hotel.
free marketing for them. Like I always say, like we need to make this space social media friendly. Like what are you doing? This is lost revenue. It's not about how many more sales you're going to get. It's about how many sales that you're currently
That's right.
losing.
That's right. And when you show them that you're as invested in their growth, one of the things, and I mean, I'm just sharing this, one of the things that I tell people all the time is I'm not here to showcase what I can do. I'm not here because Liz and Florally does these amazing creations and we're going to bring our work here. I tell them I'm a chameleon. I come in here and I transform myself into who you are, who you want to be, and we're going to showcase that. Because at the end of the day, yeah, I can do fantastic work and we can do these gorgeous displays. But if it's not representing who you are and we're not getting that story out that you're trying to tell, then, what experience are we creating? This is not the Liz Hotel. This is the Four Seasons, the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. We're here to give them that same experience. And part of that is consistency. When they go to a Ritz-Carlton, for example, in Paris, they want to have that same experience when they come to North America and go to the Ritz-Carlton in New York, in Texas. And so that's also part of their brand. They strive to deliver the same 4 or 5-star luxury service from North America, South America, overseas. And they need to make sure that there's consistency in their brand. And you're part of delivering that consistency. So never think, I'm just a florist. No, you're not. You're part of their team. You're part of their interior design team. And you're part of giving their guests that experience. You're just sort of in the background.
I'm so happy that okay, if you're listening, you've heard it from someone else now. I say this all the time. You're not a vendor. You are an extension of their team. You are a partner. This is a partnership. This is not, hey, let me go in here and make a quick sale real quick, and then you're just going to be another client on my roster. This is, how can I support you? How can I have your back? How can I make you look good? Even if it's like a text, last minute, oh my gosh, we have this VIP client coming in. Can you help us? I got you. Like, what's your budget? Like, okay, great. I'll send you an invoice. Like, I got you. It's always being a partner. And especially in the hospitality industry, this is a people industry. I mean, they are giving their careers to serve other complete strangers and give them this incredible experience when they are basically at the hotel. And this hotel is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. But who is taking care of the hotel clients? And that is our job, at least as florists, to become very supportive partners, extensions of their team, to know that like we are always going to do our best to make you look good and to deliver and to design for your guest. Your guest is the person that we always design for. And I love that you've just mentioned how to make the first meeting even more memorable for this potential client is by sitting down and showing them, expressing to them the amount of value that you're going to bring to being part of their team versus just trying to make the sell.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I love the fact that you've been in this industry about the same amount of time as I have. We've had very, very similar journeys. What advice, because I know obviously everyone listening to this podcast either wants to be a hotel florist, is a hotel florist, is thinking about being a hotel florist. What advice would you give someone wanting to become a hotel florist, whether they're pivoting or they're brand new? Kind of what would be your top 3 pieces of advice for them?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think most importantly, if you feel passionate about doing something like this, don't psych yourself out. Don't overthink something to the point that you've made a pros and cons list. Being an entrepreneur is already difficult on its own. If you're doing events, I've got to tell you, events are already difficult on their own. You're doing these large installations on a weekend basis, yeah, you get a nice chunk of change one time. But what happens, for example, when we come across a pandemic or a life-altering situation? What happens when you have a child, or you have, something that you can't give yourself to that one event, right? Being a hotel florist or a corporate florist in general is beneficial because you're going to have that reoccurring income. And that for me is huge. You have these 2, 3 accounts, 4, 5, however many you have, that you have a constant flow of money coming in, that you can actually budget your life. You can actually, it's like having a salaried job, but you're managing 10 salary jobs. So it's stressful, but honestly, I think events are more stressful. And I think this is a great way to build a steady, stable life. You know what's going to happen almost every week. You can focus your mind on, creation, design, prospecting. You have employees that you can sort of shift and delegate to. It ties into, the same thing with events. But again, having what happened to us last year, I think really sort of shifted my mindset and everyone's mindset, because at the end, when the pandemic ended, I still had 50, 60 hotels that I could reach out to. You're always going to have that business there that's looking for someone. Brides and events have to come to you. You don't know when an event's going to happen. You don't know what year they're planning on having that event. If they reschedule that event, you got to sit and wait and hold on to that deposit,
and it's stressful. It's like almost like feast or famine. And, consistent income is key. I could not have the type of lifestyle I have. I could not provide the types of jobs that I have without it. And it was even to a point, when we were making multi-six figures in our business and we had like 8 clients. That's it, 8. We worked like 1 day a week. And
that's right.
It can be done. You just have to be open to thinking a little bit different and knowing it's there. So if you're in this position of like wanting to pivot or wanting to become a hotel florist, I've heard often that I don't have the experience, or I'm too small, I don't know how to start. And honestly, my tip number 1 would just be like, you have to choose. You have to choose that this is what you want to do, because we both did not have experience. I remember sitting in my first hotel, pitching to them. I'd never done hotels before. And in my Hotel Florist Profit Method course, I teach more on this. Like, what are the key things that you have that you can bring to the table to have the connection, even if you don't have the experience? So I pulled on certain things that I knew would support my proposition to work with this hotel. And they gave me like basically a 6-month trial. And from there, they've been my client for 4 years. So it's like, number 1, you have to choose. I think number 2, if you don't want to be doing weddings and events, stop promoting weddings and events on your Instagram. Stop putting up those photos. Worst case, if you're like, well, I don't have photos of hospitality work, you have to have something that's similar. I remember when Four Seasons reached out to me, I had never done hotel work, but I had really interesting arrangements that I was creating for one-off deliveries because they made me happy. And the concierge team reached out to me and said, we've never seen anything like this. Come bid for our hotel install, our hotel designs. So start putting work out there that you're proud of, that you want to be known for. And then Lizmarie, what would you say would be like the 3rd tip that from your experience, someone that wants to start diving into this direction?
I mean, be confident in yourself, okay? Because the same thing that you were saying, I had no experience. I was in sales, okay? I was selling flowers, seeing them. I knew some of the names here and there, didn't know when they lasted, when they didn't, okay? You need to be confident in yourself because that's what you're selling. When I started, I was pitching inspiration images. Sometimes I still do that. I don't pitch my own picture because not every client is the same. So the Four Seasons that we work with now, they don't have the same flowers as another hotel. So although they want to see your work, you can show them work from one property, but it's not going to be that other hotel's look. So in a way, it doesn't make sense. So I pitch what they're looking for and I used inspiration images and I followed up and I pushed to get the trials,
Mm-hmm. And remember, you're a leader in your business. Like, you're an entrepreneur for a reason. So you make these decisions. It would be poor decision making if you were to show them your portfolio, and I'm doing air quotes because I feel like that's so dated. But even if you were to show them like the work from your other properties, because as a leader, as the floral designer, that is not what the aesthetic that Four Seasons would want to see. So you show them the inspiration, not like you're stealing someone's work or copying or being a fraud. You're literally like, this is what I'm going to create for you, because you have that full confidence in yourself and in your work and in serving your client.
And they want to see what you're going to give them. So what does it serve to show them something else? I mean, be confident in yourself, know your work, know what you want to deliver, go for it, and just don't give up. Yes, I got a great deal when I first started in 3 months. My first hotel was a huge deal, and it was the Conrad Hotel, and he's probably going to watch this, but I mean, he gave me an opportunity, and he knew he was my first hotel, and he said, look, we're not happy with who we're working with, but we're going to give you the business, and we're just going to try it out. And I, didn't even, this is crazy in my mind. Oh my God, I'm 24 and he's giving me this amazing contract. But don't doubt yourself. Just keep trying. They're, like you were saying earlier, they're human. They're on this ride with you. Mm-hmm. They're also forgiving. Mm-hmm. And they're willing to explore. And the first 2-3 times, even if you don't do well or you don't feel good about yourself, that's not a problem. Ask them for feedback. But you can't give up, and you can't think that this is just gonna happen overnight. It doesn't. I mean, if you're in events, did your event industry shoot up overnight? Did you know how to make a bridal bouquet overnight? I'm pretty sure you didn't. I mean, you have, if you're an event or wedding industry and you have an amazing platform, you have followers or you don't, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't have a huge platform. I went out there, I believed in myself, I made business cards, and I sold myself as what I wanted to become, not who I was.
Yes, and that's so key.
Yeah, I sold myself as if I was already this 5-star florist working with 30 hotels. And I was not. I didn't even have one hotel. But I sold it that way because I always said, this is who I want to become. Now, let's be real, did I take on events? Did I do weddings here and there to keep myself afloat? Yes. Have I worked a full-time job to keep myself afloat at times because I was having a baby or I was getting married? Yes, I did. But once I became self-sufficient and I reached my goals and I got to where I wanted to go, I said, perfect. This was the goal. Now that I'm here, I can start letting it go. So eventually my dream became my reality. It didn't happen overnight, but it doesn't mean it was never going to happen.
This is so inspirational. And I know everyone listening right now can totally relate, because I think that sometimes we just assume that it comes really, really easy. And when it doesn't come easy to us, we just think we're doing something wrong. And then we write it off as if it wasn't for us. And confidence is key. I mean, I still remember I went and got my air quotes, quote unquote, master's degree in floral design in a 2-week course in LA. I was living in Dubai at the time, flew over to LA, was going to become a florist. And I remember I printed my business cards. I had mugs, like with the Franzie's logo on them already, had not even touched a flower at this point, but I was just like, I'm being a florist. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go learn how to be a florist. And I remember there was one module where we had to sell ourselves, and I had no idea. Obviously, this was part of the program. And we were in a circle, and then I was called upon, and I got up and I presented my business card. And the instructor was just like, see, this girl, and I'm not tooting my horn, but I'm just showing you, she is going somewhere because she has decided what she is worthy, what she can have. And that's why I always say, like, we get to choose. Is it uncomfortable? Do we have imposter syndrome? Do we look around for validation? Of course, but we get to choose the kind of life that we design. And I love that you brought this up. Like, you started being a hotel florist before you even had a hotel account. And that's kind of how it works.
Yeah. And even now, I have a daughter. Even now, I've started to, it's such a beautiful thing because you start with this vision, right, of what you want to be. And that's the first thing I did. If we're going to go to the roots of it, one of the first things that I said, I'm going to do this, right? I opened my laptop and I wrote down, who will I be? Who will my client be? What do I want to be? Where do I see myself? So before even starting at 0, I started at 100. This is where I see myself and the big picture, right? This is where I want to be in 10 years from now. This is what I want to be known for. I wrote all those down. I wrote a model down. I wrote what I want to be known as. When people think of us, what do they think of? I wrote those things down. Then obviously, started selling, looking for clients, etc. You start the process. In the process, getting events, doing weddings, trying to get hotel accounts, etc. Now, 5 years, I would say right after the pandemic, finally, I can say that I'm reaching to where I want to be. And that's because I'm getting weddings, I'm getting events, I'm getting referrals, and I'm getting a lot more business, and that's fantastic. But it has felt so good to be able to tell someone, I'm sorry, I can't cater to you, I can't service you, because I'm exclusively committed to my hotel accounts. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I've taken pride in saying no, because it's 5-6 years ago that I wrote those goals down. I wrote them on paper and I said, this is who I've always wanted to become. And I've told my husband, sometimes I feel so bad, that I can't cater to everyone, but I also feel so good because I'm finally doing what I've always actually wanted to do. And so it's kind of like your vision becoming a reality. So it's another part of that is I've seen people who do they do vision boards, and they it's part of having a business plan and those kinds of things. Make a vision board, make your dream a reality. Don't give up. Look at it every day. Have a sip of coffee and write something else down. I have charts in my bedroom where we have goals that we want to have 3, 4, 5 years from now. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong in believing in yourself and having a dream and having a vision. I mean, everyone sells this American dream, but you got to be the one that works at it. And I'm young. I mean, I have a kid. I'm young. I'm doing this. I'm hustling. I hold a baby in my hand. She's crying. I'm answering phone calls, texting, emails. You can do it. It's not impossible.
I love that you bring this up, because it is a friendly reminder to all of us that businesses are not born. They are built. And we can only build them by being actively involved. So if you're listening, I definitely want you to take a moment as soon as you're done with this episode and write down the questions that Liz just mentioned. Really challenge yourself, and don't just write down all the fluffy stuff. Write down the stuff that makes you scoff, where that inner critic in you comes out and is like, who do you think you are? Like, I'll never forget when I decided to be the hotel florist, and I was like, who do you think? I mean, like, really, you're going to educate florists and then you're going to offer turnkey? Okay, sure. It's a whole mindset thing. But write down all the things that you just literally make fun of yourself for even having, you just think is totally not possible in your wildest dreams. You would never want anyone to know this about you, because then they would totally judge you. And who do you think you are? All the things. Brain dump it. Literally go through, circle the top 3 that you think are the most crazy, out of the world ideas, and then start pursuing them. Even if it's just baby steps, because you do literally get to create your life. You do get to go after your dreams. You do get to have everything it is that you want. And I'm so happy that I'm here with Liz and we get to tell you this, especially in the floral world, having consistent income and working with incredible clients.
Yes. That is so funny that you said that about the shopping. And I mean, it brought me back to when I wrote that whole list, and I was literally like, oh my gosh, you're so bougie. Like, who do you think you are? You think you can have a Fortune 500 company? You really think that you're that awesome? I mean, if you keep going, year 6, hello.
Yeah.
6 years where you can be national, international. Come on, it doesn't stop.
We're already scheming, guys. So just, we'll check back in the next 5 years and let you know how it's going. I love that you've been on here and you've talked about your journey and the rawness and putting in the work, and that, you might not get the hotel account overnight, but I'll never forget, I had a student join the Hotel Florist Profit Method in the very beginning, and she started a course and she realized it took me a year to get my first client. And I actually have an episode about this because I think it's very important to be honest and transparent. Whereas my journey took a year because I was living overseas, I was moving, I was bidding on a new contract. There was a whole lot of things. I've had other students that have gotten contracts within a week, within 3 weeks of joining the program. So it really just depends. But I told her, or this person wanted to leave the program and get her money back because she didn't realize it was going to take her a year. And I let her know that even though it took me a year, first of all, that's not everyone else's journey. It has given me 4 years of consistent income. So I would take that year like a million times over again, just because like I have had an incredible client for the past 4. What are your thoughts on that? On this kind of like cancel culture? Like if it doesn't happen fast, then it's not for me, on to the next thing. What do you think about that?
First of all, I carried a baby in me for 9 months. She didn't come out instantly. Okay.
I love that. I love that analogy.
It's true. It took a long time, painful process, sleepless nights. Sometimes you can't eat what you want. That's the same thing. But you know what? Even from day one, when they subscribe to your channel and your podcast, number one, that knowledge that you're getting is not lost, because I can guarantee you the first 4 or 5 podcasts, the information, the layouts, the contract information, what you're giving them, you're not going to find that anywhere.
Mm-mm.
Anywhere. No floral school is going to give you that information. They're not going to teach you how to do it. They won't even. I've even seen people asking, even in the event industry, how much do I charge? Because sometimes they don't know. So the information, number one, is not lost. Even if she didn't get in a hotel account, or whoever's listening to this doesn't get a hotel account right away, maybe you don't start off with a hotel. Maybe you start off with a retail shop. Maybe you start
a restaurant,
a local building nearby, because I would rather start with a small account than start with something huge and go off rails, not know what you're doing. Get your feet wet. Get your feet wet in 2 or 3 small accounts that'll kind of bring you revenue in. Get an idea for what it is to work on a day-to-day, weekly basis with the same people, 1, 2, 3, 4 years. And then you start to get an idea, okay, wow, that means that when you go after the big fish, you already have an idea on vocabulary, what to say. You already have had certain interactions that have built your confidence, built your understanding and knowledge, and then the big fish are going to trust in you more. So,
and you have confidence. Like, again, confidence is king.
That's right. So, I think nothing is lost. It's a personal decision. If you think it wasn't helpful, I didn't get something right away, I think it's kind of the era we're in. We don't really have patience. We're kind of in the age where everyone wants instant gratification. And you're kind of setting yourself up for failure in the long run, which is not good. I don't want to knock anyone down, because I've been that same way, where you want something right away.
Of course.
But at the same time, there's nothing more gratifying than when you have nurtured a client for 4 months, 5 months. I've nurtured people 3 years. The account that we just got at the Four Seasons, I nurtured that since it was pre-opening in construction. I would drive by every single day, waiting until clicking on LinkedIn, typing who is the director of housekeeping, trying to find who my point of contacts are, just so I can get my foot in the door.
Thank you for saying this, because that is like literally what I teach. And I feel like sometimes people don't realize, like, you have to go after it. It does not come to you. Hospitality, hotel contracts do not really come to you. You have to go to them.
And one more amazing story to account for that, on top of that other one, 3 years, and then finally I got in the door, and that was on a trial basis. Okay. A 1-month trial basis. And then I got the account. I met a restaurant, a high profile restaurant, I want to say maybe back in 2013, 2014. Met them. I was with another company, gave them my card. 3 years later, nothing came from it. Proposal, pricing, etc. 3 years later, I get a random phone call. Hey, are you so-and-so? Yeah, this is me. Oh, I'm calling you from the restaurant, and we want to bring you in. What? Yeah, we have your business card from 3 years ago. Don't change your number. If
Yeah,
you want
yeah.
another advice, keep the same number. Make a professional email. That way you have the same email, because once you start handing out those business cards, you think, oh, they just put them away in a desk in a drawer. They'll keep them. Even when they switch hotels or they switch
Mm-hmm.
company,
Mm-hmm.
they will keep those cards and call you. So they called me. I went in. They had already met with 5 different florists. And in my mind, I said, well, why am I here? What is the point that you took out of my day to come and meet you when you have like 12 proposals already out there? The guy just said, someone brought up your name and we just wanted to see what you can do. And I went straight to the point. What is your budget? Where do you want to be at? Because
Mm-hmm.
I need to know what I'm up against. I mean, what's going to win your business at the end of the day? If you met with 5 different people, there must be something that they're not doing that you
Yeah.
make a decision. And so I told the guy, what is the number you're trying to reach? What's your expectation, so that I can make sure that I meet that right away? Because if let's make this a done deal. You know what I mean? Again, confidence. You got to go in there like you're a shark, like you know what you're talking
They'll
about.
smell you out. If you don't have confidence, like stay home. Like I just told a student yesterday, I was like, if you need to go get your hair blown, nails done, buy a new pair of shoes, put a red lip on, whatever you need to do to feel confident when you're approaching and you're pitching, you do that. Do that. And then have something to look forward to afterwards, like a glass of champagne to celebrate you that you did
Yes,
uncomfortable things.
yes. And I went home and instantly texting. We were instantly texting, and the manager says, um, I said, what's your budget? And he says, this is the highest number I got. This is the lowest number I got. And I said, this is crazy. Done deal. I beat every single price point. And sometimes, if you want the business, I started off sometimes having to go a little lower in price point just to
Mm-hmm.
get the
Mm-hmm.
business. It's not ideal, but you have to also remember you don't have your name out there. No one knows
Mm-hmm.
who you are. And if there's someone that's willing to give you an opportunity, and that, dollar amount is going to make the difference in getting that account, make the sacrifice. Only if, I mean, I do it because I wanted that business. So I made the sacrifice. And in the long run, the loyalty that's there, the amount of business that they've brought to you, the name brand again that's on your portfolio, it's a huge return. Um,
I love
and
that you mentioned this because I did the same. Like, I've lived in the Middle East for 6 years. It's where I started my business. And so I knew I was going to beat anyone's price point because I knew I wanted the business. And I knew after I got in there and showed the value and had an actual platform because they're giving you a platform, to have an actual platform to do my work. I know that year after year, I can increase business. I know that year after year, they're going to send me more clients, dream clients I would never have the opportunity to work with, like an Apple, or like, we're just doing something with Southwest Airlines this week. Like, I don't have contacts with Southwest Airlines or Apple, but I loved my 4-day ridiculous 5-figure event that I had with Apple that came from a hotel that maybe in the beginning I had a lowball to get in there. And so check your ego at the door, because it's going to be more money than you had if you don't get the contract, and you can always increase it later, but you have to show up and you have to prove your worth.
And not only that, but for those who are starting, and this is something you're just getting into, you don't have an overhead. Sometimes you're working out of your home, you don't have employees, you don't have an overhead. So you're not really in the position where you need to multiply 4 or 5 times the what you're charging them. Start small, because eventually you're going to get to the point where you're obviously going to need to charge more, because you have employees, you have staff, you'll have a studio, maybe if you're not working out of your home, something like that. But then once you get to that point, you already have your brand built, people are already willing to work with you. I mean, I'm sorry, but when people reach out to Jeff Latham, they're ready to spend the money. But why do they
Yeah.
want to work with him? Because he's known and he understands their vision and he's willing to give them what they want. So, when they come seeking for you, they're committed already. They've already made that sort of internal commitment, and they already kind of want what they want. And they're willing to move a few numbers around. So don't get discouraged. It just start small, give yourself a break. And then once you get that client, it's like instant gratification. That's the gratification. I've sat in my car at times holding a check crying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've sat there and I'm like, how in the world do they trust little old me to manage their huge property? You know, I feel so unworthy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just
Mm-hmm.
think, oh my gosh, I'm so small. Like, who am I? So you go back to that moment where you were writing your vision and you still think, who am I? You know?
And I love that you bring that up. I actually just recorded an episode with the floral coach, and we talked all about mindset and worthiness. And it took me a few years, but lately, I think the past, like, I don't know, whatever. It took me a few years, but my now mantra is anytime that thought comes up, like, who am I always instantly, it's like auto now. It's like, who am I not to do this?
Wow.
Like, and it's so powerful. It changes the game. And then all of a sudden you're like in a line. I just got goosebumps, but then you're in alignment with yourself. Like, I gave myself goosebumps. Wow. Okay. Liz, thank you so much for being on the show today. I know that you have inspired so many listeners. Where can they follow you in your floral journey?
Someone took my hashtag 5 years ago, but you can find me on Instagram at Florally Design. If not, you can check out our website. I mean, it's not the most glamorous thing, but hey, it gets the job done. And at the end of the day, it works. So other than that, I mean, you can send me an email if you're on IG, shoot me a message. I'm here, I'm live.
Liz is always in the DM. She loves connecting with people. We
Yes,
are always chatting all the time. Thank you so much for being on the show, Lizmarie.
of course.